In April 2025, China decided to suspend the acceptance of new aircraft from Boeing. Officially, this was explained as a reaction to the new duties imposed by the United States. However, if you dig deeper, it becomes clear that the real reason is much more complicated and interesting. Initially, it may seem that this is just another economic reaction to tariffs. But such decisions are not made overnight. Beijing and Boeing have not been at the peak of trust for a long time. It all started with accidents involving 737 MAX aircraft, when many such airliners were decommissioned around the world. China was no exception, and at that moment the first rift in relations began. Even when the 737 MAX returned to the skies, many still questioned the safety of these aircraft. This has certainly affected Boeing's image in China. However, it's not just security incidents that are a problem. China is gradually shifting its focus to developing its own aviation industry. Comac, the Chinese manufacturer that develops the C919 model, has repeatedly stated its ambitions to occupy a niche in the domestic market. Yes, so far Chinese aircraft cannot compete with Boeing or Airbus in all respects, but the desire not to depend on external supplies is obvious. In addition, the Chinese authorities are increasingly supporting cooperation with European Airbus, which already has assembly facilities on Chinese soil. This gives Airbus additional advantages because deliveries are faster and with fewer risks than Boeing. Of course, the new duties from the United States have become an important factor, but most likely they only played the role of a catalyst for a deeper transformation. China simply no longer wants to depend on external supplies, especially from those who may face economic problems and interference from other countries. This could be a real blow for the American aircraft manufacturer. China is one of the largest and most promising markets for the supply of airliners, and the loss of this segment will greatly affect business. Yes, Boeing has not yet completely lost the Chinese market, but this decision suggests that Chinese companies are gradually starting to switch to other options. And if Boeing is not quick in finding solutions, the pause may become protracted. Now everything is on pause, but for Boeing this time will not be empty. The company will certainly try to find ways to return to the Chinese market, but the trend has already been outlined. China is building its production lines with increasing confidence, and external factors such as tariffs or economic restrictions are only accelerating this process. The real reason for the suspension of Boeing supplies is not just a response to tariffs, but China's deeper need to become less dependent on Western supplies. This is another step towards strengthening its own position in the aircraft industry.